So we've talked about water. We've talked about infrastructure, and the last stool of the three-legged stool, the last leg, is people. It's those partnerships, it's the community we serve, and the staff that deliver that service to our community. So let's talk about partnerships. Well, I know the San Jose's in the audience here. I just saw you, Joanna. Our venture into recycled water really has been a long journey. In fact, in the Bay Area, in fact, Northern California in general, recycled water has not been driven as a water supply need. It's been driven as a waste disposal issue. In Southern California, it's been the opposite. So you have Orange County Sand working with Orange County Water, developing a great facility to really provide a potable water supply through groundwater recharge. In the Bay Area, it's been a waste disposal issue largely due to discharge requirements, discharging into San Francisco Bay. So back on our partnership efforts with the city of San Jose, started really back in the 1990s. We had a program initially, much like Metropolitan Water District has, where they give funds to support water that's going to be used in lieu of imported water. We had a collaborative effort in the early 2000s, seems like a long time ago now, began planning for that advanced purification facility I mentioned to you back in 2006. We signed a long-term agreement in 2010, and then we brought that system, we started construction in 2010, and we finished that construction this past year. So obviously, when you form partnerships, you need to develop what are those mutual benefits that really drive people to talk together, whether they're local or they're regional, as we just heard from one of the audience participants. So South Bay Water Recycling is the city of San Jose, some of their interest. Our water district, these were some of the interests of a few years ago. What were our interests in expanding the use of recycled water? And then where are those mutual interests that really is a win-win for both sides? So that partnership, though, is key. As I mentioned earlier, we're the water and flood agency. We are not the wastewater agency in Santa Clara County. Wastewater is provided by the city of San Jose, Sunnyvale, Palo Alto, and in the South County through a regional facility. And they're the ones that are providing that wastewater service. So that partnership is key for us to work together. Certainly in San Jose's case with the city of Santa Clara, they have the supply of treated wastewater. They're doing a great job of treating that water for disposal into the South Bay. They have site area for an expansion of our purification facility. And they also have outfall because unlike the South Bay here or South State where their outfalls are ocean discharge, our discharge of the wastewater in Santa Clara County is into South San Francisco Bay. And so as we expand those systems for reverse osmosis and have the brine concentrate to worry about, we need to figure out ways how we can safely discharge the brine concentrate into the South Bay. And then we're looking at other partnerships, both among other parties. We're working with the city of Sunnyvale to see about how to, as they expand or basically upgrade their facility, how can that be done in a light of thinking about how we can use that water not just for discharge, but for further reuse. And then looking at private partnerships, looking with those who can perhaps design, build, and construct with us to better get that product to the market, particularly in the time of drought. So I mentioned the partnerships. So here's sort of a list of sort of the who's who of some of the key partners on the wastewater side working with us. You see their logos up on the screen. Another partnership we have, in addition to the wastewater agencies, is among our own retailers. So we, believe it or not, have a policy that says that we want to have good working relationship with our water retailers. So we want to maintain those effective relationships. And we want to make sure we have a performance measure in our district that says we want 100% of our retailers to give us an average rating of good to excellent when they rate us on our performance. The question here is, what's the job the district doing managing water resources? This past year, 80% instead of the high goal we have. Due to the drought, due to other issues, some of our retailers were not so happy. So we know we have to have that dialogue, and we want to work hand in hand with them because we realize that the delivery of water is not just our end, it's also working with them to deliver the water to our end users. So what are the keys to successful partnership? Obviously, we need to engage our elected officials. We were talking about having the political will to raise rates to fund these important programs. We need the collaboration and working out of our silos because we know each of our agencies have our own silos. Even within our agencies, we have our silos. We know our fellow partners have their own silos. How do we work together in collaboration? It does take that teamwork. Certainly adopting that shared vision, that mutual interest to make sure that we're on the right path moving forward. Let's think about community we serve. You know, our end users, the people who pay our bills, the people who pay our salaries. How do we reach out to them? How do we understand their needs? So if we talk to them about recycled water, most of our community, I think, is in favor of recycled water for non-potable uses. So we asked the question of them, this is in 2000, what do they think of recycled water as a potable drinking water source? So the initial reaction, you can see only 31% were in favor of that. Vast majority were opposed to thinking, I'm going to drink this water. Then we give them more information about what's involved with delivering that service. This is a poll we did. And then you see their opinion starts to change. They start to become more accepting of this. Then we give them additional explanation about what's involved in the safeguards that are used to make sure this water meets or exceeds any drinking water standards, and you see confidence grows. We were involved in research this past year with the Water Reuse Research Foundation. We, along with this area, San Diego, we're looking at how do we communicate with our community about potable reuse of water. So we had focus groups and telephone surveys, and the research is helping us understand what our customers think. So what were some of the results of their thinking? A majority of the voters that were in that poll support indirect reuse of water, either strongly support or somewhat support. What's that, about 62% in favor with information about indirect. We were talking about indirect. We're also thinking about direct in some of our survey work. What motivates them? What's motivating our community to be more interested now in this water than, say, they had been else in other time? And you see, obviously, clearly, they're concerned about water shortage, limited supplies. Second, though, it's a great use of resource. We talk about One Water. You're going to hear more about that. We can reuse the water. Why is one through still makes sense in our limited water environment? And you see some of the other ideas that were expressed by the community. These aren't staff ideas. These are communities we serve. So what are the key messages in Santa Clara County that are the drivers for wanting the public to support, and what's their interest in supporting going to potable reuse? Certainly, it's good for the environment. It's a good water supply source. They have confidence in the purification system that we're going to be using. We provide tours of our facility, public tours. We have information on our webpage to kind of inform people. And certainly in this time of drought, they recognize it's a drought-proof supply. So our communication plans going forward are ambitious. We want to continue that branding, the community outreach, moving with our own employees, helping our employees understand. We've given tours for our employees when we went online so they could understand a little bit more. Certainly targeted outreach to our community, and including our elected officials. You may have seen in the papers, if it was down here, we had the mayor of San Jose drinking water from our advanced purification facility on Monday for the press to kind of recognize the importance that this is a water supply source. Now we get to staff. Last but not least, staff. Now, like most of you, you've been in this business a long time, like myself. Many of you have been in this. We've enjoyed our careers, but for better or worse, we're aging out of this workforce. And in our agency, 60% of our staff can retire today. And so there's a growing concern about how do we plan for succession. You know, we have a lot of institutional knowledge. When we walk out the door, our institutional knowledge goes. You've had a very rewarding career. You deserve a well-earned retirement. But the show needs to still go on. So we've been working in the Bay Area to think about how do we get workforce reliability. And you can see on there some of the framework that we're thinking about. Developing qualified candidates, making sure we have good educational programs for our community, for our staff members, and then enticing and basically inspiring the younger generation to have careers in water and wastewater. We know we have many mission-critical positions that are needed to fill for those future purification facilities, for our existing facilities. And there's a spectrum of those up there. Many of you might be them themselves and realize, yes, we need to have qualified staff. We used to rely upon manufacturing to be a nice springboard to bring in staff that worked at NUMMI, in our case, NUMMI Motors, before that General Motors. They had plants in our area. They closed down. Some of those staff came to work for us. We no longer have manufacturing that is available to serve our need as sort of the cutting ground for those who are apprenticeship to move into water and wastewater. So baywork.org is a web page you may want to take a look at if you're interested. These are some photo shoots from that help inform those interested in careers in water and wastewater how they could find out about these careers. So there's video clips of staff throughout the Bay Area agencies, water and wastewater agencies. There's ways to learn more about where there's training programs, where there's job opportunities to seek out job and employment. We talked about partnerships early on. The partnership in Bay Work is enormous. Because in Bay Work, we brought together, really, in the Bay Area, the water and wastewater agencies to really work together to really realize that we're all facing similar constraints in resource, and it's important for us to basically pool our assets so we can really reach out and have good programs that benefit our staff and those interested in careers in water and wastewater. See some of the web links on there. So, discussion questions. How does potable reuse fit into your serious area's future water needs? And then secondly, conversely, how is your agency preparing for your workforce succession planning?
My name is Janet. I'm with Veolia Water. Right now, we discharge into the Santa Ana River Basin. It's 100% effluent discharge in Orange County.
Can you hold it up just a little closer?
And Orange County does use our water and turn it into drinking water. But as far as our facility, we do have a certain percentage that we use for reuse, but we can't use too much because we do have to discharge into the river. Our agency also does educational programs. We provided scholarships for kids who did science fair projects that were based on wastewater and water treatment. And we did community outreach pollution prevention fairs so that we can make the community more aware of exactly what we do, so that we are not just, nobody notices us until unless the job's not finished.
Okay.
Oh, and
hand her the mic. Let Gail talk. Gail, tell him your name and who you're with.
I'm Gail Tupper, and I have succeeded. I'm retired, but I'm.
Give her a hand clap.
But I'm on the CWEA board, and speaking with Janet, she said that the way her agency prepares for workforce succession is that all of their employees are CWEA members, and they are encouraging participation in the various CWEA committees. So yay for a small agency for providing that kind of support.
Great, thank you. One more comment. Looking for one, we've got one right here. Simon, you can just walk right here. Right here, I'm sorry. Figure it out. Over this way. Tell us your name and who you're with.
Howard Bruin, City of San Luis Obispo.
Slow down, hold it up. No, it's on, it's on. Just hold it up closer to your mic,
So,
your mouth. Here. There you go.
We at San Luis have a really robust internship program.
Okay.
And I have no worries at all on the succession of our staff. And that program was originated with staff, run by staff, and it's interesting. We get calls from people, San Diego, LA, all up the coast, and they're like, we've called 15 or 20 agencies trying to find an internship program to get into. And we've placed everybody that's been in that program to other agencies. The other thing about it is we have a list now of people that when somebody retires, we've got to work with them for a year and a half, 2 years, if it's a fit. And I would really, really encourage the rest of agencies to pursue that type of program.
Okay, this is Howard. He's right here. If you want more information, have a different perspective, come see him during the break. Jim, we'll turn it back to you.
All right. Thank you. So what's our possibilities here? Obviously, evaluating additional uses of advanced purified water, going from indirect groundwater recharge to direct. We want to ensure Santa Clara County's region, and certainly all of our regions here, have continued economic health and sustainable futures. Obviously, we need that community support to really pay for the services, receive this water, accept this water, and we talk about purified water. And then finally, really making sure that we continue that investment. I think it's a great investment in San Luis Obispo. Investing in workforce reliability, because it's no longer an option for us if we haven't already done that. With that, I want to thank you for your attention. I hope you have a great conference, and I'll turn it back over to Jeff.
Thank you. I took that. Thanks.